This was the seventh background check the FBI has conducted on Kavanaugh. Some Republicans say the inquiry has answered any doubts, but some Democrats say it was not comprehensive enough. CBS News Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues has the latest.
Senators received the 46-page report today, after it was delivered to the White House at 2:30 this morning. The pages include an interview with Kavanaugh's friend, Mark Judge, who, according to Dr. Blasey Ford, was a key witness.
During this assault, Mark came over and jumped on the bed twice while Brett was on top of me.
The FBI is said to have interviewed Judge for 3 hours. They also spoke with Chris Garrett, whose nickname was Squee, and other students, Leland Kaiser, Patrick P.J. Smith, and Tim Gaudette. FBI agents also interviewed Deborah Ramirez, who alleges Kavanaugh exposed himself at Yale University in the 1980s. 9 people were interviewed in total by the FBI. 3 others have not been identified.
I've never sexually assaulted anyone.
However, critics charge that the Bureau did not conduct a thorough investigation. Notably absent from the witness list, Judge Brett Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford. Do you think Dr. Ford should have been interviewed? Chris Swecker is a former assistant director of the FBI.
I think that it would have been a good thing to do as a capstone to the follow-up of the special inquiry, to go ahead and interview her and get her statement on the record to the FBI.
Special inquiries are different from FBI criminal investigations. As such, the White House counsel sets the parameters of what FBI agents look into. White House counsel Don McGahn has also been shepherding Kavanaugh through the nomination process.
I think it's normal to have the White House set the parameters of a follow-up based on allegations that have been made, and to tell them stick to these allegations, don't go far afield about drinking in college.
Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues joins us now. So, Jeff, Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation has been compared to Clarence Thomas's. Thomas was also accused of sexual misconduct after being nominated. Did this inquiry follow the same protocol, and what are some key differences?
Well, this inquiry did not follow the same protocol in that in 1991, when Clarence Thomas was accused of sexual harassment by Anita Hill, the FBI not only interviewed Clarence Thomas, but also Anita Hill. And so in this case, we didn't see that happening. Obviously, Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh were not interviewed this time around by the FBI. We're told that the FBI relied on their testimony from last week. Of course, it was a lengthy testimony, but we've talked to former FBI officials who say there's really no substitute for talking to someone directly, a witness or a victim directly, because that way you can pick up discrepancies in their accounts or more of the details of what they alleged happened. And so the cases are similar in that there was this controversy around the confirmation of Clarence Thomas with Anita Hill's allegations back in 1991, but this time this investigation followed a different path. And really that is not unusual. This is not a criminal probe. This is something else. This is a background check. The client in this case was the White House, and the White House was able to set the parameters of what the FBI did.
So given that, Jeff, do we have a sense of what the expectations were inside the FBI itself for this inquiry, and were those expectations met?
Well, listen, when they got this task last week, they knew, well, you know, the best word I think to describe it is that there was dread within the FBI, because they knew that they were going to be in the middle of this political firestorm with this case, as they are now. So when they submitted that report early this morning, they knew what was going to come next, and that was the critics essentially would pounce on what they did, critical of the way this investigation or this inquiry was carried out. So going forward, well, today at least, no comment from the FBI. We expected that. In cases like this, the FBI tries to stay out of the fray, and they're letting the politicians on Capitol Hill do all the talking.
Well, the FBI did not interview any of the witnesses that Dr. Blasey Ford's attorney provided. Do we know why?
Well, again, the parameters in this case were set by the White House. That is the way these inquiries, and it's called a special inquiry, works. Of course, this is a little different than the typical background check that the FBI does for the White House or other clients, of course, because it involves a Supreme Court nominee. But still, The FBI in this case did not want to deviate from the typical protocol in cases like this because they knew if they did, they would be criticized. But of course, given the political nature of this case and how highly charged it is, they knew that there was a situation here that was a lose-lose for them no matter what they did.
All right, Jeff Pegues for us in Washington. Jeff, thank you.
My pleasure.